Welcome back everyone for another episode of a Kenshi Let's Struggle. In this episode we're continuing our journey in the Haryoung Empire. Firstly, of course, bandit raids were starting to flood in. I had done an import. Doing an import just seems to cause every single bandit faction to want to raid you at once. So instead of letting them run in and take all the bread and all the goods, closing the gate was a lot easier, and letting Implord take them out was a fine job. Now, the goal for this episode is going to be to move a little bit up north. We're still going to have Fort Harold in command and still functioning, but I want to get a second outpost working for him.
I got two
bases.
Mainly due to it'll be easier for us to fight the United Cities up there. Nextly, I need to go grab Lady Tsugi. Unfortunately, I found out that keeping these characters alive through recruiting them does not override sort of like the game world state, so they're still technically alive. Therefore, I have to leave her either imprisoned or kill her. On top of that, we have lots of people starving. Literally at like 16 fucking hunger was the lowest I found. This is because of all the jobs we have queued up, and I guess they just can't prioritize eating at all between any of it. But with Lady Tsugi imprisoned, I wanted to send Harold over to Brink to check it out and see what the place was like now. We had already cleared out the place of a bunch of United States samurai, and then went back there last episode and they had respawned. Now when I showed up here, it seemed like not the Holy Nation was fighting them, but the Holy Roman Nation. They spawn in from a mod that I got, and it was pretty recently released as well. Either way, a lot of these Holy Roman soldiers were fighting the samurais, so I decided to get Harold in there to try and help them out. A lot of their higher tier units are pretty strong, and even for Harold, it's hard for him to get them down without having to take a few hits. But luckily, the Romans were able to cream some ass. Holy fuck, cream some ass. Just put that visual image in your head, boys. On one side, Harold did want to siege Brink and sort of take it under control for himself, but at the same time, it's already a bitch handling one outpost, and Brink is pretty close to Fort Harold, so in all reality, having a farther outpost will probably be a lot more beneficial. As well as, well, it's just fucking Brink, man. Like, who the fuck wants this place anyways? This place sucks dick. Now, even though Harold did help the Holy Roman Nation Empire, we didn't get any standing with them increased, unfortunately, which I hope would be fixed eventually in Kenshi 2, wink wink. But the tale is stuck in our heads, and we had witnessed the giant battle go down. With most of the samurais down, I felt it was fine to send Harold back to the base, and he sort of just does like a fucking slide over there half the time because he's running so fast that the game can barely keep up with him. Now with Harold back at the base, it was time to get all the movers set up and equipped with all the different building materials and iron plates we needed. You mainly just need these to start out a brand new base, and then you can get everything else sort of from them, using iron refineries and stone mines, stuff like that. There were a few extra things I wanted to take, but first we had two more raids coming to the base, one from the Empire and one from bandits from the Dust Lords. Now the Dust Lord attack was really fucking small. As well as that, there's a few Black Ninjas thrown in there, so it's kind of smaller in total. The Black Ninjas, the fucking real Raid Shadow Legends. And also, I just want to point out this bullshit. This is why I never import the save. Look at this fucking tyranny of fuck you from Kenshi. You got 3 different enemy squads all coming at the exact same time. So, firstly, the samurais from the United Cities had showed up. They're starting to raid our base. Due to our low faction standing with them, they're starting to show up to our base and try and raid us more, along with kidnapping and imprisoning Lady Tsugi. But the samurais are still no match for Harold and his men. Harold's about twice as strong as most of the samurais, and it'd be up to him to chase down the final ones trying to run away or crawl away. While that was going on, like another Metal Gear Solid sound effect popped up in my head as I saw a bunch of Black Ninjas this time running towards the base. This was, I guess, the other squad that was trying to raid us. Now, Harold's like a fucking mini Implord now, I swear. When it comes to these normal units with not good armor, he's one-hitting them, killing them, or chopping off a limb. Insanely fucking powerful, but still not the most powerful. Harold will need to be chopping limbs off a lot more faster if he wants to be the strongest in the world in this game, even with hits in the high 200s. And then finally, in the morning, the good old triage bandits had come and arrived at the base again. I guess because we recruited the triage first, he's a part of our group, therefore they're still alive technically. It's some bullshit, but what can you do? It's the Kenshi Let's Struggle. That's how we live. The boys have to go and start their adventure now, so everyone in the movers group was going to go up to the Great Desert. I had about 20 people in this group ready to move. Now we did have to travel through Venge though, and Venge fucking sucks. Not only are the white eyebrow ninjas here, like who the fuck remembers these clowns, but also those giant light beams of death. Very not helpful. Getting hit by any of those just fucks up your plans majorly. And once we did get hit by one, it was of course while the game was loading. so it took off a good third of some of our units' health. Fucking fantastic. With that, you have a band of bones and weak thralls to deal with in here, so you're constantly being slowed down and forced to stand around these light beams for even longer. So I decided just to stay in Shem, and I made it to the top right of Shem, over near where that castle is that we explored around episode 10 or 12. Right next to it was a brand new village that we had not seen before. This is called Fuma's East Village, I believe, and it had a bar here, so luckily I was able to get everybody to go to beds, at least most of the people. I forgot a couple, but I mean, that surely can't come back to hurt us at all later on. And with that, the boys were back off, going into Venge. The plan was to sort of go around Venge and into the Grey Desert. Now, instead of doing that though, the Kenshi AI tracking decided to send them through the Deadlands, where there's acid rain. On top of that, the Mech Leviathan was here. Now, the Mech Leviathan, you know, Leviathans, you walk near them and they don't attack you. They're pretty friendly, peaceful creatures. This one fucking wasn't. We got 82s and 100s. Shit was going down, boys. One by one, everybody in the party started dropping like flies. We had about 3 or 4 drop within the first 2 hits. This Mech Leviathan probably attacks about 4 times faster than most Leviathans and hitting for twice as much damage. And with the disgusting amount of health that it had on him, he was hitting most of our units for nearly death blows. Everybody was trying to surround the thing and it was not looking good. One by one, people started to die. First Pick Lord and then DX Seba, both dead. This is when Harold screamed at the group, trying to get them all to run back up the hill. Get the fuck out of there. Why did they decide to run under the Mech Leviathan? That was the dumbest shit ever. Harold attempted to run back and save his last companions, but Skeleton Fox was fighting the Leviathan, trying to keep it at bay, and ended up dying as well. A tragic 178 damage done to Skeleton Fox in 1 hit. I got the rest of the people that were still standing and walking to go grab as many people as they could, and then try and get back into Venge and on the outskirts of the Deadlands, away from the fucked up beast that just slain 3 of Harold's men. It was up to Harold, Rhinobot, and other skeletons that were waking up from the battle to go and patch up the remaining people that were alive. There were some people dying and in pretty critical condition, but luckily due to the med skills we've acquired during the entire series, no one else died and we were able to save everyone and then start to regroup on the outskirts of Venge. On top of that, I had to go check and find the bodies of our dead companions. They had some pretty insane high tier loot on them, as much as I'd not like to loot our own friends, we kind of have to. But a moment of silence for Harold as he looks at his friend Skeleton Fox, one of the very first recruits he had acquired in the series. It was a sad fate and it snapped something in Harold's mind. He had just watched yet another friend die from the Leviathan. Taking down Larold the Leviathan and getting him under control took 2 of Harold's men that he had known from near the start of the game as well, and now he had just lost 3 all at once. Along with that, a Noble's Wrath assault had arrived at Fort Harold, one of the most feared assaults of the Empire. Now there was Igor. Igor is a very strong, probably the strongest United Cities character that there is in Kenshi. He has a lot of backstory and stuff that you guys can read on a wiki or find out for your own, but either way, he's commanding the lead of this army. Unfortunately for them though, they didn't know that we had Implord on a walk. And even though they're armored out, they cannot prevent 300 to 400 hits from shredding their limbs or knocking them out for a little bit. So one by one, they started to surround Implord, and they actually did quite a bit of damage to him, to be honest. He was bleeding quite a bit, and everybody else was doing quite fine, honestly. We didn't have too many people go down or get super injured, maybe a limb or 2 lost during this battle. But there were a lot of high-tier United Cities units here. We're here because we imprisoned Lady Tsugi, as well as taking Lord Inaba. They're pretty fucking pissed at us at this point. But the battle wasn't too bad. We were able to take them all down, and once they're all unconscious, I went to find Igor. I wanted to recruit him. I at least got his gear off of him, but I did an import later on during the game, so even though I got him in the cage, doing an import resets your prisoners, so unfortunately I lost him. Now meanwhile, over in the Deadlands, the whole mishmash of people dying was still going on. Harold was just grabbing the rest of the loot and limbs that we had left behind with our old companions. And then once everybody was regrouped on the outskirts of the Grey Desert and at the top of Venge, I had them go and return to Fort Harold. Now, they hadn't even gone a full biome away from Fort Harold, and they already had to walk back home. Honestly, it felt fucking pathetic. I just got to begin to feel like Harold and the group were overpowered in the game, but just to find out that we weren't was very shattering, but also encouraging on an aspect that it's not time for us to move yet. Instead, I need to get Harold to go seek some more strong recruits, So we'd be going to Whiterun. Originally, it's known as the hub. With a mod, it adds the Whiterun soldiers from Skyrim into Kenshi. And checking out the hub for the first time, not too much has changed really, except for the fact that there's Whiterun guards and a lot more people here. They say a lot of lines that are taken directly out of Skyrim, and it is kind of pretty cool. And their armor does look pretty spot on to the other game. Now, the other reason I wanted Harold to come out here was to find a certain blueprint. I need to find the advanced training blueprint, that way we get some more training dummies that'll get our skills all up to level 70. Unfortunately though, I couldn't find it at Whiterun or even the bar on the outside, but what I did find instead was a warrior who looked very familiar. Well, her name was Chun-Li, a master of fist, and after promising her that we won't equip her with a weapon and just leave her to become a martial artist master, Chun-Li joined the Haryoung Empire. After that, Harold was checking out the other bar, and that's when he found a brand new wanted poster. This one was for a man named Shanks, apparently a very difficult top criminal that was a pirate. It notes that he's stealthily dangerous and that he knocks people out on sight. And the reward for him was 500,000 cats. So Harold decided to take that wanted poster and put it in his backpack. That way if he finds the man, he'll be able to go and confront him. Meanwhile, right after, we ended up running into another fine looking soldier, someone by the name of Master Chief. And after having a dialogue with him, he would join the Haryoung Empire as well. Master Chief comes with a blaster straight from his own game Halo, so he's going to be a very good use to the Haryoung Empire, seeing as he'll be the first crossbow user. Now, just about a minute later, I was looking around the hub, and there he was, the 500k bounty himself, Shanks. It appeared that he was missing one arm, and that he had a crazy looking sword on him, like a fucking nice one. Now it was time for some alternate universe heralding, just to test the limits of Shanks. I did talk to him, and if you pass a dialogue with him, he does end up giving you a sake. And once testing, trying to go into battle with him, Harold, Snub, Chun-Li, and Master Chief go to fight Shanks. Unfortunately, he's a fucking psychopath and immediately hits Harold for negative 100 of the chest. Along with Snub, Chun-Li, and Master Chief, all four of them would just be completely wiped out by this fucking madman. So instead, the group in the right timeline decided it was just right to go to Squin. We still had to find the other blueprint, that way we could get some training set up over at Fort Harold and train a lot more efficiently and sort of AFK. Now, I got to Squin, I went into the backpack shop, and then I told myself, oh fuck, I need to go to the backpack shop. So I went to the shop that's normally the backpack shop. It's now like a prison or army camp because of all the mods I have. So I had to go back to the other backpack shop, which was the shop I was in the first time. But even once going there, it didn't have a blueprint either. No shops had the blueprint, so I felt like I just had to make it a background goal. To top it off though, in the bar in Squin, there was a wanted poster for a pirate named Whitebeard. Now, he seems to be a giant or something, and apparently he's a very hard warrior to take down as he had an 8 million cat bounty on him. Seeing as Shanks had a 500k bounty, and we saw what he could do in just a matter of seconds, I can't even imagine what fighting Whitebeard would be like. But Harold takes the wanted poster and puts it in his bag, as he'll definitely keep it in his mind. Now, once arriving back at Fort Harold, the next goal that Harold had was to go up to the Deadlands. The reason for this is because of the very good limbs that you can get here from the workshop. They basically have everything of every type of limb in very high qualities. The only thing was, I only took Harold and like 4 inventory slots for like 4 limbs. So I had to go back to Fort Harold after, give the limbs to all the people, and then go back. Fortunately though, we would find a new bar on the way there, so I stopped to check this one out. This place didn't have a blueprint that we were looking for either, so that was very unfortunate, as well as apparently the Mercenaries Guild wants our necks, as they instant aggroed against Harold. Running out of a bar, Harold went back up north to go and continue to go to the Deadlands and grab the other limbs for the people at Fort Harold. It had been quite some time, but a few of these people had been walking around with limbs. I thought it was great. The second Timmy that we have, I went to go give him a leg. And once I do that, he just continues to crawl. Like, goddamn Timmy, you can fucking walk again. My god. Lady Tsugi was now around negative 100 hunger as well, so I wanted to send Harold back to Brink quick to check on the state of the city. Seeing as the Holy Roman Empire were taking it over last time, they should have taken it over fully by now. So Harold would run back over to Stormgap Coast to go check out what it was like in Brink. Arriving there was more Empire peasants than ever before. Along with that, there's more soldiers as well, just everywhere. and they're still here. One of them even points out if they can beat Igor, they can beat an Empire soldier. So they know that we can beat Igor, and they know that we have done this, and that is in the timeline. How in the fuck is it not taken over? And it's in twice the population, up to 217. The fucking bullshit, man. That's a complete opposite of getting rid of the city. We doubled its population. So that's some bullshit, but I think Brink's just a dead dream at this point. I'll fucking drive myself nuts if I spend my life on it. So back at the base, I got everybody in the movers squad to go re-equip new weapons, or at least better weapons than they already had. The reason for this was the next step of action was going to the Ashlands to clear out the very last Ashland dome that we hadn't done yet. It was the 4th one, and there should be quite a bit of loot there. Of course though, we'd get split up, so I had to spend about 5 minutes waiting for people to catch up and fucking run over to people. Moment of silence for all those dealing with Kenshi's AI pathfinding. Once the group arrived in Stobe's Gamble though, that's when they found a giant group of land bats. And this one was way bigger than I've ever seen. There's probably about 3 dozen land bats in total on this hill. And so there was a giant land bat massacre. I hate killing these beasts. Same with the gorillas. They look so fucking, pleasant, but they attacked us first, so we needed to deal with them. Luckily, no one really got injured too much from this battle, other than Harold, of course. He had about half of his health taken down to his chest, so that was pretty fucking lame. But the group had to get to Sonorous Dark to then get to the Ashlands, so they were going through Grey Shelf to get there. Now, this place rains acid rain, and on top of that, there's a bunch of bugmen that run around here from the Southern Hive. This is a big piss off, and they used to be an actual threat. Now they're just a slowdown and make us stand in the acid rain even longer. Their purple blood would be splattered everywhere though, as none of our people would take it anymore. Once upon a time, they were a huge threat, but 20 episodes later, they're no problem at all. We definitely do need to deal with them as well soon. But staying on task, Harold and the group continues to go to the Ashlands. Once making it into Sonorous Dark, they ended up finding a brand new way station, so I sent them over there quick to check it out. This way station was owned by the Ouroboros, who seemed to be from a mod that I also installed, and they were a non-aggressive faction, so we were able to heal up here quick. After that, getting out of Sonorous Dark and into the Ashlands, we were finally able to go to the dome. We were in the biome we needed to be. Now, this dome does contain one of the strongest characters in Ashlands, known as 9, a skeleton fox. He has an insane weapon, along with a skeleton legion and their thrasher units walking around the landscape. It makes it very tense while traveling here, also making it one of my favorite biomes in Kenshi. The nomads like to travel around here with their exotic pets like crimpers and fucking cleanser units, just casually walking by waiting to be bought in. But I wouldn't be attacking any of the nomads or anything. They kind of keep it a little bit more under control in the Ashlands, what makes it alright. Once arriving near the dome, there is a huge fucking strip of security spiders walking by. I didn't want the group to have to fight them and then go and fight 9 and the rest. So after waiting for all the security spiders to go by, I tried to get a cinematic here. It fucked it up. This one seemed to work though. You can see that there's skeletons popping in and out on the 2nd floor of this building. Along with that, their stats weren't anything to look over at either. They had pretty decent stats, so I decided since there were about 28 in there in total, the map said, I'd be setting up my strongest units with heavy weapons in the front on hold, and then I would put Master Chief in the back. Followed by that, I had Harold run into the base to get them all to aggro to him, and then I dragged them all back to the doorframe. Unfortunately, Master Chief and others all tried to run in as soon as possible, so I decided instead of micromanaging, I just let the battle go and see where it takes us. Luckily, 9 ended up coming out right away and getting trapped in between Killbot and B02. This led him to a very early knockout, which was very fortunate, as he ended up taking down Lord Inaba with just a couple hits. Lord Inaba being one of the thickest units on our squad, you can only imagine what he'd do to a scrawny one. On top of that, I had Harold pick 9 up and then check out his gear. Looking at his gear, I could see that he had a very nice weapon on him, as well as some insane armor. Of course, I would want to take this, but first we still had the rest of the battle to go to. It wasn't too hard to take down the rest of the 2nd Empire. They are very strong and were able to take down a few people. After a few minutes, we managed to knock them all out. Now, I transferred all of 9's equipment over to Snub, as I did want to take that home for sure. Now, followed by that, even though we knocked out all the skeletons, of course they were rebooting and getting back up eventually. So I had to take out the CPU unit of each skeleton, put it in my inventory, and then put it back in, just that way they would die quick. Now, I put down 9 and then tried to get everyone to fight him, that way we could hopefully kill him or something. And with no weapon, no armor or anything, he's just a complete fucking madman. I forgot how Kenshi works, and if you unequipped a very high tier character, they'll just fuck shit up 10 times harder than they did with equipment. Luckily though, Harold and B02 were able to trap 9 and get him down, along with other skeletons that had all woken up at the same time. That was probably one of my shittiest plans that had backfired since the Mech Leviathan attack. On a bright side though, all we had to do now was go to the different CPUs of each unit. There's a couple units in here other than 9 that had a diplomatic status and an AI core, along with some very nice weapons and armor. One of these guys did have a little bio to read off on his CPU. General Hat 12 was a chief of Empire Police. He ended up basically fucking them over, trying to prevent a battle, but started one instead. After getting rid of most of the CPU units though, it was time to unlock all the crates that were in this place. Upon doing that, we found a Masterwork General Cyborg arm. If you guys remember, we found one for Harold before, and it is another left arm, unfortunately. But this one has about double the amount of health, up to 445, along with 29+% to a lot of different good combat stats. This arm will make Harold a super unit. Along with that, I started to find these giant crystals called energy crystals. They sell for 35k, and with all the other weapons and stuff we found as well, it was a very good haul. All the weapons sell for about 10k as their sell value, at least around there, and a lot of them I do think I'll end up using. The other leg I ended up finding was a very nice one. It doesn't have any combat bonuses, only health, but I do want to keep Harold with his wheel legs, so I might just give him a bigger backpack. That way he can swap his limbs. After that though, on the second floor, we found more energy crystals and more loot. There's other AI cores and more weapons around as well. Overall, the hauls here were pretty good. A lot of the armor that we grabbed too was pretty fine as well. The only downside was after I finished looting. Unfortunately though, a couple of our units ended up getting stuck, as well as people at Fort Harold were stuck. So instead of making the trip back by walking, I decided instead just to do a reset squad positions. I've been playing for about 5 hours at this point, and I finally wanted to conclude what we had been doing. Firstly though, looking at the research tree, I couldn't find anything for energy crystals. I found a lot of other stuff. As well as I went into training, the blueprint I've been looking for the entire episode was already researched. All I had to do was just unlock the research for it. I fucking, my head exploded. So yeah, that sucks, Major Cock, but there's not much we can really do about it, you know? Sometimes God gives you the ass and you just gotta eat it. But either way, I had to get rid of all the different equipment that we had gotten from the Ashlands dome. So I set up a bunch of nice armor storages and nice formation. Along with that, Lady Tsugi was finally almost dead, and I had imprisoned 9. Now I couldn't talk to him though. It seems that he's one of those fucked recruits you can't talk to. This did give me an idea though. Instead of recruiting him, I could just give him to the Mech Leviathan, have them fight, and then go in after. So before heading out to the Deadlands, I re-equipped everybody with some better weapons, or at least weapons that were more suitable. Stuff like Fallen Suns and Leviathan Slayers, things that do more damage towards the Leviathan. With that, the group was basically ready to go out and fight the Leviathan for the second time. The only person I'd be leaving at the base is Chun-Li. She doesn't have good armor yet, and I need to train her up a lot more before she'll be good. But with that, the rest of the group was off. We still had nearly 20 units, including now Implord and Larold we were taking with us to go fight the Mech Leviathan. These were the strongest units of the Haryoung Empire going to go fight this beast. We had no idea of the power it had before, but after we watched it slay 3 Haryoung Empire units, we knew this beast is way stronger than anything the group's ever gone against before. 5 hours of in real life time and the past 10 days spent, all spent just in preparation to get revenge on the Mech Leviathan for what he did to Skeleton Fox, DX Seba, and Picklord. Once arriving at the very top of Shem, just on the outskirts of the Deadlands, I had the group patiently wait while Harold would go into the Deadlands and look for the Leviathan. Now this didn't work, and after about 10 minutes, I just decided to do an import, and that of course brought the Leviathan right to the location we found it in the first time, I'm pretty sure. He was hanging out right there, just standing there. Fucking dick. Everybody was looking at him like he was an idiot. Well, because he was. But the battle would not start yet. Firstly, it was nighttime. It was also raining acid, which we just didn't need on top of the fucking 100 plus hits we're gonna get from the Leviathan. So I decided to have a group wait outside of acid rain, as well as get Implord set up on one side of the Leviathan, as well as position Laird the Leviathan on the right of the Mech Leviathan. That way they were both surrounding him. It was finally morning though, and so it was time. Laird the Leviathan would start the battle by attacking the Mech Leviathan. He was going to be mainly used as a tank unit, absorbing most of the hits, while Implord comes in and does a lot of fast damage from behind. While this is all going on, I got Master Chief with his ranged weapon just in range to go attack the Leviathan as well. That way we would get as much damage on it as possible at once. I didn't want the people fighting it anytime soon, as it's basically a 1 to 2 hit. The only downside is that Laird just kind of goes AFK, or he doesn't really attack the Leviathan. Like, getting the two Leviathans to fight each other is a bitch. Being forced to use our own characters, the first hit on Harold's stomach brought him down to -16 right away. Even with his nice high tier armor, doing around 100 damage, knocking him out in one blow. Another blow, surely he'd be dead, so I decided to take him out and use him only as a medic. The beast was starting to get injured though. He was about a third health down in some of his limbs, and a lot of our own units though were pretty injured. Even Implord was taking quite a bit of damage from the Leviathan, and the Leviathan attacked very fucking fast. That's when, because Harold was on medic, he ran over to someone and tried to heal them, and he got caught in the crossfire of the Leviathan and ended up dying. That, of course, though, isn't the death of Harold, so I reloaded the save before we fought the Leviathan and gave it one more shot. I figured I'd try to fight it again using the other strategy that I had thought of. We didn't have 9 the skeleton due to having to import the game, so I wanted to send Laird over just alone without Implord. Before I had to get everyone else to attack because Implord was getting damaged, this time I'll just have Leviathan v Leviathan combat. The Mech Leviathan does have higher stats than Laird the Leviathan, but Laird the Leviathan is as close as anyone we can get to taking at least a little bit of damage down on this beast. Now, getting 2 of Kenshi's biggest beasts together to fight is actually some anticlimactic shit, dude. They wouldn't even do any damage to each other at first, so we had to like reposition Laird, like bring him up the hill, kind of bring him really close to the Leviathan. And once they do start fighting, Laird just starts getting absolutely booty spanked. For every about 5-6 shots that the Mech Leviathan gets in on Laird gets 1 shot in, and it's about half the damage of each of those shots. I sent Implord in to try and help, but he took a lot of damage to the stomach right away, so it wasn't really looking good. I figured I would try having Master Chief come over and do some shots against it, because we just weren't doing too much damage against it with a couple units. Having everybody fight it didn't go well either. Immediately people were being knocked out in 1 hit, the beast was hitting for nearly 100 a hit, and it was hitting faster than a normal Leviathan, and much harder. That's when I decided that pipe dream was to come to an end. At least for the moment, if a team was to defeat the Leviathan, it'd be under some extreme cheese. So, we're gonna have to reapproach it by going and get crossbows. Possibly guns and other high technology grade weapons. In the next episode, we'll spend more time preparating, training characters, and maybe getting everyone up in crossbows, so we have an actual chance against this thing. Unfortunately, the group in this paradox leaves without the battle going forth. I did want to fight and kill the Mech Leviathan, but it's one of the strongest creatures in Kenshi besides the pirates at this point. At least that we know of. There's always more shit to find of a Let's Struggle, and there's always more stuff to add. But either way, I hope you guys liked this longer episode of a Kenshi Let's Struggle. If you did, make sure you let me know in the comment section below, and leave a like on the video, and subscribing to the channel helps out a lot. Either way though, I appreciate all the support, and thank you guys for watching the video. Peace.